Hi there, it's time to remake some thumbnails for better CTRs again. So today we have picked this. Basically, is a channel called Yuki the Snowman. He makes anime and gaming videos, and this time he asked on Reddit basically which thumbnail work best and how can he improve them. So let's take a look and see what we can do with it. The couple of variations that he has shown is already pretty good. Okay, right? Looks pretty eye-catchy, and I have already populated one that looks from like this size. If you're watching on a mobile phone, it's still big, right? That's almost your full screen. If I shrink it to this size on a desktop or in your mobile, you probably will see it on YouTube, inside the YouTube app around this size, I guess. The red text is fine. However, the white text, it's not like clearly visible, right? Because of the flowers at the back and this like text that also shows a bit of like the wigged edges. So how can we change those? And also, you heard me talk about complementary colors. In the original Silent Hill image, there is a bit of greenish or cyan color, which usually appears in like horror kind of movies or games. However, in this image, it turned a bit pinkish. Maybe Yuki wants to or adjusted the tints to make it look that way. It looks a bit romantic to me, to be honest, instead of like being a horror game with her face also a bit pale. I would rather keep this feeling, because unless you're trying to do it in your live stream in a way that makes a horror game like a romance story. Otherwise, I would not change it to like too pink. Let me try this if it is really the case. Yeah, if you bring the tint and also the temperature up, that's going to give you that kind of. Of course, you can add some filters as well. So that's not what I'm going to do. So here, I'll also mention the good thing here that's pretty much, I think it's inverting what the original image has. You see the vignette that's bringing the attention towards pushing it inner, closer to the center of the thumbnail. So if we are going to change this, I like the message. Basically, he wants to do something, as he said here, that the audience is going to drive his actions. So he can do any kind of silly things as long as the audience put into the chat. So well, the image itself is from the game, so there's not a lot to change unless like you want to adjust the contrast. Of course, you can go to the filter. So this is Canva, by the way. I'm just using all the free features so you can test them out too. So if there are any that looks seemingly more dramatic to you, like this, definitely. Okay, again, color psychology. This red signals danger. Okay, and then the greenish tone is a bit of that creepy feeling, right? So if I change it to this one, it lacks the red that indicates danger. So it's definitely creepier, but we probably want that red in there as well. This is too much. So the original one, because they are professional, right? They have done the color very well. So instead of using filters, I go to adjust and basically adjusting the vibrance and saturation to see what I get. But if you adjust the saturation, the red is going to burn your eyes. It's like bleeding out. So a little bit is fine, because that's going to help with catching the eye among all the thumbnails on the YouTube page. And you may want to lift the shadows a bit so the dark doesn't look as dark, because if you push this is even crazier. It's a bit tricky because, like, on a game website or in a store, people will look for that game. You don't have to think about competing thumbnails, like competing covers, basically, like what the challenge we have on YouTube. Okay, now the brightness and contrast and color looks fine to me, but I still want to make the greenish, this color, the grayish or greenish color, more dramatic. So I can adjust the saturations. So you see, right? If I bring it down, the right hand side of the image, if I enlarge it, so if you're watching on a mobile device, it's easier to see. You see the blue turns, the cyan greenish color turns richer, right? And you can turn it to green as well, but too green lacks that like creepy feeling as well. And brightness, too bright makes you feel like, again, losing the sense of horror, and it looks more like a alien invasion instead of like a spirit or ghost kind of thing. So I adjust just the saturation and the hue. Not too green, just a slight touch to the hue. Now if I zoom out, I should bring in the original so you can compare. Okay, so you see the color coming out more, right, at the back. Now, the girl, obviously we can change something. The usual trick I show you, by removing the background, we still have her and the flowers. The tricky part of this is we have those flowers, and rather in this case, because you don't have the full image of the girl, you can't separate the layers. If you are really like going to remove the background and let's say adjust the contrast to make her look a bit creepy, be careful that's not going to be consistent with the original image you have. One way is to make two versions of this. So you can overlap the left without much changes, and then see, I can turn. I don't want to do it here. It's better to do it in Canva. In here, I usually just remove the background. Okay, just to save time, I'm not character, no BG. I'm not changing or like cleaning up as I do in the past. So second one, again, remove, and this time this one Let me check. Okay. So I actually don't need this one. Silly me. Okay. Because I just need that one that I've created. Bring her over. So this still blends in alright, I mean the left side that we are seeing. So I just want to duplicate and make it more dramatic in terms of contrast. So here, adjusting the contrast, you see what's happening, right, to the both sides. And if I change the transparency, because I have her at the back, right? And then, oh, it's gone. So yeah, I move it too far away. So let's add her back. This one is the high contrast one. And then if I bring up, or like bring down the opacity, bring up the transparency, like, and you see we've got two images here. If I take this away, this one doesn't align to the back. Let's move it to the right size. So at least they are aligning, okay? Now the other one, just duplicate this because it's aligned already. This one, let's remove everything. Opacity 100, because I'm going to bring her back to behind the high contrast one. Okay, so you see the difference, right? If I don't have the intermediate layer, that's still very bright, right? So I have to have that intermediate layer to do this. If you just have this high contrast one and set your transparency to 100, that looks totally off. Even if you scale this to a lower level, you're still not getting like the one we have here. Alright? So that's why sometimes you can add an intermediate layer to balance things out. You can make the intermediate layer adjusting the tint to the green like it did, and then the temperature to a cooler color, so she kinds of get closer to the background color tone. Okay, this one, she's just pale. This one, she's getting closer to that cyan color. So bringing the complementary colors together. Alright, so another thing is, if you think this side is still, like the red is still kind of too dark, what can we do? Duplicate another layer. Bring this over here, somewhere around where the shadow, you see the shadow on the nose, right? So this layer, we can lower the contrast first, and then bring up the shadow a little, brightness not a lot, and saturation, so that's going to bring the red back and a little bit brighter, not too much, not to make it bleed. So you see the difference now, right? Let me duplicate this so you can compare. Without that layer that we just added, you see the flowers. They are very dark without the red-ish color. This one, we've got the red back. And of course there is this line over here that we need to address. Okay. One thing we can do is try to bring it to a point where we can have an easier fix. That's why I was picking the shadow, because naturally there was a line over there. But that wasn't enough. So a trick that I used previously was lower the opacity so it doesn't look as odd. I just want to make sure. Okay, it's not me. It's originally there was something there. So here, if I bring it all the way up, just to see. If I duplicate this and go to edit, I'm trying to see whether a blur is going to help in this situation. I would love to have an edge blur. That would definitely help, but usually that's not the case. So this is not working as expected, and I think she is a bit off as well. It's not aligning very well, so let's align it better. Okay, you know what? I find out what I should do. I should actually use eraser just to clean up her face. So we just leave the flowers. Okay, just to make sure we don't erase some of the things that we need. The hair. Right. Face. This part as well. Definitely take out all these. I think that's good. Let's try. Now her face doesn't have that line, and we have the flowers back. If I bring up the transparency a little, so you see it lost its color. Here we've got the color back, and we haven't like messed up her face. Okay, likewise if I bring it down, You see the flowers have their red back, right? Okay, so now we have a more greenish compared to the original image, her, and also we have our flowers back, like the flowers on her face. Alright, now finally, and she's more contrasty as well. If you look at her nose here, is a bit overexposed, so we lost her nose a bit. This, we've got her nose back. And overall, the image may look a bit dark, but the red really pops out. So the key now is to bring in some text that draws the attention. Okay, the F word, we can reuse exactly what Yuki has originally put in. We change, so I want to use a font that doesn't look that sharp, because that's a horror game. Maybe he wants to like represent something like to yell out really loud. That's why he chose that font. The F up my run. So let's change it temporarily to this color. Not that we're gonna use it like it is. So instead of 4 words, let's try something shorter. Alright? And smaller. Just to check if it still works. If we have the image shrink to the size where mobile device can still see. Okay, so it's still clearly readable. We don't need to have this one. So we can add the other effects later, like outline or just to lift it. And then the chat decides my actions. Chat decides. So I am thinking we should break this into 2 lines. Chat is key, and decides my action is another line. Decides my action. So this, because there are so many words, see this one, just make it smaller for the time being, and see if it's in 1 line, how bad it looks. Okay? Always don't expect, especially if you're just starting out, you don't expect you can get the perfect or nice looking thing in the first go. This can be way larger, or even let's try 200, because that's the key, right? Come chat and decide my action. Now, the style of the text and the colors. Effects, you can choose glow or lift. Let's try glow for the moment, but change the color. Remember the complementary color. If you don't want green, remember that greenish cyan color that we talk about, right? If we use a darker red, kind of like blood red, and white outline, that's too dark. The red, I'll bring out a little. Chat, decides my actions. So be careful when the text gets to the lower right hand corner, because that's where the time or the length, the duration of the video is. So you can either duplicate that and basically moving out the actions to a second text box, or you can adjust the line spacing over here. Decides my actions. So we use the whole patch of black and red as the background of our text, and we keep her over here clearly visible. Alright, if you want to, because we still see a lot of her head, and let me try to group all the layers that we have built and enlarge her a bit, because we really don't need to see that much of her head. So we still have her somewhere around the rule of third lines, right? I mean the horizontal, her eyes are landing on that level, and we still see her uniform. Okay, so how does it look to you compared to the original one? I think the selling point is, like for this live session for Yuki, is Chat decides his actions in the game, so that's why I'm making the text much more prominent. That's the key, because if people see this, they will say, how, like, right? They probably missed the smaller text. And this one, however, we see that clearly, and I actually want to adjust this. It looks a bit too large to me. I just wanted to lay similar size as the chats and move them in a little, because the corners, they're going to be round corners in YouTube. So alright, hope this looks fine to you. And for Yuki, I'll put your thumbnail in a link in the comment. I mean this thumbnail that I have made, so feel free to take reference or even use it. Good luck to your stream. If, like for other members in the community, you have a channel or a video that you want me to look into your thumbnail and remake one or two for you, let me know the link and I will go take a look. If there's something that of a niche that I haven't recently covered that will get a higher priority, I'll rearrange the order based on how like recent I have covered similar niches or videos.